Hey everyone, Sean McGregor, NoCodeSTR.com. I wanted to show you this Airtable financials dashboard that I built, but I also want to let you know, sadly, that these numbers lie. But it's not because of anything that's built in here. All of the booking information comes in automatically and is correct. All of the cancellations are removed immediately without you doing anything. Problem lies in the fact that we're doing revenue. Just like every other PMS, just like every Airbnb, VRBO, other platform, when you look at their metrics, you're seeing revenue. And revenue gives you some idea, but most of us, if you do any sort of management, you don't get paid on revenue, you get paid on commission. So I'm going to show you why this is a lie and then how we're going to improve it and then make it to where it's absolutely perfect for your business and gives you a true sense of how things are going. Because right now, if I look at this revenue dashboard, I'll look at the swap loft and be like, ooh, 144,000 compared to the Bel Air mansion has 349,000. If I'm going to get rid of a property, it's going to be this one. Because look, it's the smallest percentage way down here. I can look by year. Let's do 2023. And yeah, the numbers changed a lot, but it's still down there at the bottom. So that's not the one for me. So I'm going to reset it. And so instead of using revenue, step one is let's use commissions. And you'll see as soon as I switch over to commissions, SwapLoft is absolutely crushing. That 144 actually looks pretty good now because it's actually an arbitrage property. So we get 100% of the payout. Whereas Bel Air Mansion, we're only getting 20% of it. So the numbers come way, 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 way down. Same with these other properties. So now if you look at just commissions, you're like, oh, well, SwapLoft is clearly the winner. So that's going to be the best one. Well, sadly, these numbers lie also. And before we get to that, one thing that definitely happens, and all different platforms are guilty of this, is one thing that everybody faces and has tripped you up or confused you at some point is that whenever a booking happens, if it's March 31st, whenever the booking occurs, when does the revenue or the amount get credited to? To March. You get, oh, March was amazing because March 31st is when the booking happened. Even if it extends well into the following month, April gets nothing, but March gets all of it. So in a traditional way of doing it, March would get $1,523 in commission for this booking, whereas April would get nothing, even though 4 of the 5 days happen in April. So to fix that, I've set it up where everything is allocated based on the number of days they stay in each month, so you're getting accurate numbers. So when you look at your account, your year, you can actually tell how you did in April, how you did in May, how you did in June, not when did the bookings occur. Because again, in this example, all $1,523 would go to March, where actually only 304 of the revenue was generated in March. The rest should go here to April, where Kaiser Soze gets the $1,218. That actually goes to the calculation for April. That way you're actually seeing how the property did. Because we've all been there where we've looked at the financial and be like, oh man, why was April such a dud? And you have 10 or 15 days that are booked in there from the previous month that don't show up at all in the revenue. So you accidentally think, oh, we're way down this month, and last month was way up, but it's only because they're not allocated correctly. So that's one big problem that we've solved. Another one is, the swap off example, man, look how high the commissions work, so it gives 100%. But if you're doing arbitrage, you actually have an expense, and expenses matter because, you don't get to keep all that money and not have anything going out. So when we're looking at what is happening with our property, we need to know, what expenses are occurring and then allocate that to each property as well. So I have fixed costs, which are, monthly rent. If you have any HOA, you can put internet here or do it a different way. I'll show you in a second. And then you have any property specific costs, but then you also have shared costs. And one big example of this is your teammate costs. We have teammates. Instead of just having that, big number hang out somewhere, you can actually deduct it equally from all the live properties. And so when you do that, this, $2,850 property divided by 570 gets deducted from each property's financials. That way you're seeing how you're actually doing. With these other ones, the way I've set it up is that if there is a property specific expense, it gets taken directly off of Swap Loft. So this is a pool maintenance fee. All $95 counts against the revenues from the Swap Loft. But if it's Price Labs, every property is benefiting from that. So we need to deduct a little bit of that from every single property. And to do this manually would be a pain. And as you know, I'm all about automating the annoying, so we're not going to do it that way. I've set it up to where you can just go up here in Gmail. And the way I would typically do this is say filter messages like these. And then you could go ahead and create a filter, and this would happen automatically every single time. But I'll just do a single one just to show you. But if we type in expense, I have these different ones in here: property specific expense, shared expenses, and owners only expenses. Because it's a software, I'm going to drop it into shared expenses. And then if we go back here to expenses, in a second, you're going to see that pop up in here. It's going to look up in Airtable how many properties are live right now. That will give us this number. Then it's going to put that full amount divided by this, and then apply $3 to every single property. I'm going to come back just in case it takes a second, because Zapier does take a second for it to pull it in, and then Airtable will work at the magic from there. But then you can see what your cost is per property. These are all the variable expenses per property. And you have a better idea of where your money is going. So you have the commission, you have the revenue, then you have the commissions, then you allocate it correctly. Now you take care of expenses, and what does that lead you with? Leads you with a dashboard that actually shows you what is happening in your business. So you have total commissions minus expenses equals net profit. That's the actual number you need, not what the revenue is, which is 1.2 million essentially. Well, that looks great, right? But when you factor in all the different owner shares you're paying out, you have that. That leaves you with the total commissions. Oh, then you have all those expenses. That leaves you the net profit. And then once you do that, you can compare arbitrage properties to co-hosting properties to see what properties are actually making you money, especially when you take all those expenses into account as well. So we have average daily rate. You can have that in a graph, your occupancy rate, so you can see how everyone's doing. ADR, RevPAR, occupancy rate, all this information you can actually finally see based on per month. So if we switch up, to April 25, we're actually seeing what the bookings were for that. I guess I don't have very many in this fake data set. So there we go. April 2024, you can actually see how you did that month and where all the information came from. If I clear this, you can see allocated commissions. Again, Swap Loft is number one. You can see it still has the highest percentage. But then when we scroll down, net profit, it's barely number one. But now you can see Batcave has some issues. Bel Air Mansion still did well, but this is the actual number you should care about, right? And so what do we do from here? Well, we continue to build upon this where, let's say, Swap Loft. If we switch Swap Loft from arbitrage to 25%, all of a sudden it's going to look really bad with the net profit. Because guess what? Now we have a bunch of expenses and we're only getting X percentage of it. So from this dashboard, you can control everything. And I'll just go back to arbitrage. Boom, this number changed immediately. You see revenues by month, commissions by month. They'll be the same for an arbitrage, and I'll show you another one in a second. But then you can see net profit by month. And you'll know what months were negative, which ones were positive, see where you're weak, where you're strong. And then if you go to different properties, this one, revenues, way up here, 15,000. But then if we go to commission, we actually made 3,757 on it. But the net profit was 3,267. So a little bit lower. And you can go to Batcave. Ooh, and you can actually see it's not profitable at all. This is actually the problem unit that if we're going to get rid of one, we get rid of it. Because you go to revenue, Batcave is sitting in number 2. But then you look at actual net profit and you're negative $26,000 from that property right now. So that's the number you actually care about. That's the kind of hidden thing that you're missing if you're doing it just off revenue. And again, this is what the PMSs use. This is what Airbnb, VRBO use. But there's a better way. And I hope this, inspires you a little bit. I want to hear from you. What numbers do you want to see in your dashboard? What things do you want to know about your property that can be helpful to you? Because we just want to make sure that with Airtable, you can customize and bring in any information you have because you have all the data. Like all the data from booking is in there. And if you're smart about, selecting the right commission plan for the right property, it'll automatically adjust everything perfectly. It's where you're always getting the exact commission amount. Then you have the exact expenses. And then you're actually knowing what properties are doing what. And then on this as well, we can take it another level where we can actually set up a profit goal, set up a commission goal, and then because we can set up notifications based on almost anything in Airtable, if we've hit our goal, we can send a Slack message saying, hey, congrats everybody, we did it. But if we're short of it and it's the 15th and we're still below, we can send an alert to our team saying, hey, we need to decrease rates because we're still not, at whatever occupancy rate we want, or we're not at our revenue rate that we want. Our commission rate we want, net profit rate we want. So hopefully this will give you a lot of clarity. I'm going to be putting this into the full course member dashboard to where you guys can actually follow the steps to build this yourself in the next week or two. And then, everyone else, please give me your feedback. What do you want to see in your business so we can, give you the full picture of what's actually going on? Because again, you're not looking at just revenue. You're looking at whatever it is for that particular month, minus expenses, give you the full amount. And then you actually know, how your business is doing. So appreciate it, y'all. Again, Sean McGregor, nocodestr.com. Hope to hear from you. Thank you again for the time. Appreciate it. All right, I realized I forgot to show this process, so I just triggered another one. And you can see it's generating a copy of the email. It's already pulled in the number 5. It should soon bring up in Loom here. There we go. Software, $3, which is 15 divided by 5. And then it's gone ahead and tagged all the different properties from this month that share that expense. So now all of them are actually, each getting a $3 expense. That way they can account for that in their, overall, like how did our, business do, that any shared expense gets deducted from all of those. So awesome, y'all. Appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks again for the time.